Thank you for watching Conscious Consumer Network. The live stream broadcast is free to view. You can pause and rewind live broadcasts to catch up, or view shows at a later date by accessing our free archives of all shows. Check out our broadcast guide to see what's on. You can show your support by donating to our network support fund. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or subscribe to the monthly newsletter for updates. We thank you for supporting free and independent media.
And good evening, folks. Welcome to this tonight's episode of Reclaiming Perception. Delighted to introduce Tony Sayers. I've followed Tony for quite a while now. You do some blogs, and a lot of the stuff you put out there, Tony, resonates with me, so I'm really looking forward to tonight's episode.
Me too.
So just before we get onto you, I just want to mention something about Mel and Biggie, who run CCN Network. Some of you out there may not know, but they've had to relocate due to some challenges they've faced. It comes with running a network that puts the truth out there. And during their relocation, they actually lost their cat. They don't have any children. They've had the cat for 11 years, and it's very emotionally challenging for them. Great news, the cat has been found, and they've got to do a 4,000-kilometre round trip to go and pick her up. And they are trying to raise some funds to get her. So if people want to check out my Facebook page or CCN's page, and I'm going to share it on Tony's also, if you would like to donate to help them pick up their little cat, as we were just saying before the show started, we're really keen to help all the truthers out, because we've got a big job to do together, and really this is something that, you know, we can help and make a big difference, keep this network going and keep the people who run it happy. So just thanks, Tony, for just letting me put that out there.
That's all right.
Okay. So,
got to save the cats. They're protective spirits, the cats.
Absolutely, and all animals. I know you're vegan like I am, and it's like I just love all animals, and we as human beings have a responsibility to look after sentient beings.
Absolutely. Hear, hear.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say, start off like I do with everybody on this show, Tony, is I like to get a bit of background. I noticed you've got quite a few followers, 11,000 on one of your Facebook pages, so you've been blogging for quite a while. And what I'd like to do is understand what got you to sort of go to the place of where you became more aware. What was your turning point? Have you always been awake and aware, or is this something that triggered you?
I've always thought that this place is a bit of a lunatic asylum ever since I was a kid. I remember looking at the TV one day, and there was all these people in suits in Parliament, and I remember asking my dad who they were, and he said, well, they run the country and the world. And I just remember at that age thinking, oh my God. But then, you know, you go through conditioning, and then you're told to get a job. And I remember when I left school and I was in the car with my parents, and I was so relieved to have left school. I really didn't enjoy school at all. And I said to my parents that I'm going to have fun now. And they laughed and they said, no, you've got to go and get a job. And I was like, what? I've had a career in like banking and real estate, and then I just, in about 5 years ago, I remember there was a turning point where I was doing so many hours. I'd been working in the same job for years, and I just didn't feel like I knew I had a purpose, but I wasn't living it, and I could feel this just real angst inside me. And I just remember one day, I think I had an argument with my boss. I was never good in the corporate world anyway. I just remember getting home one day and just in the kitchen, just in my head, I was just like, there's got to be more than this. There's got to be, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? Is there a God? Religion never resonated with me. But for the first time in my life, I was asking all these huge questions that I hadn't asked before. And then, you know what happens, the universe delivers. So boom, 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 David Icke videos were popping up all over the place. And then I learned about 9/11. And then, you know, once you realise that once a penny drops and you realise that actually they want to depopulate us, and that you learn about the poisons and stuff like that, you have a decision to make. And it's, do you keep that knowledge within you, or do you express it and run the risk of ridicule and isolation and that? But it wasn't even a hard decision for me. I just knew that I had to let people know what's going on. And that was about 5 years ago. So long story short, it's just been going on and on from there. And about a year, well, if we'd have spoken sort of this time last year, I would have been more of the opinion of, no, it's human beings' fault. We're ignorant. We're apathetic. You know, we're lazy. We don't care. And there is still an element of that, but it's been a huge shift for me the last 6 months. This new information that I've come across, whereby I see the scale on a daily basis working with people, the sheer amount of manipulation, physically, energetically, through through interdimensional interference that people are under, and it's really put a different angle on my whole viewpoint on what's going on. So it's not like I'm completely saying that, you know, humans are not to blame. We are to a certain extent, but I really see the huge levels of manipulation going on in the etheric realm, really, whereby we can't actually see. You know, this is just outside of our visible sight. You know, David Icke talks about this, but you know, there's chips being implanted, there's silicon atoms, you've just got a huge array of manipulations going on, and this is what I've come across, and obviously a huge part of that is the chakras, which everyone loves, which I used to love because I did Reiki, and you know, I was into those lotus flowers and everything, but I've got a completely different viewpoint on them now, of course, because, you know, they're not what we are led to believe they are. In fact, they've made the most beautiful things, you know, the rainbow colours, the most evil things look the most beautiful. It's the biggest manipulation of the new age, or new cage, as I like to call it.
And I suppose, I mean, we talked before the show, and what I've got some friends who are Reiki masters who were completely, you know, attuned and sold on the chakra idea, and I'm just beginning my investigations on this, and I'm keeping an open mind. I don't have a fixed view. There's something about it that hasn't always, I've never been comfortable with the symbols and sending that stuff out there. But sorry, the dog's barking. But there's another thing, really. I'll let you talk. I'll turn myself while she's barking.
Doesn't need a toilet or anything, does it?
There's an alarm going off outside. Ruby, stop it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll explain how this came about, because it's a series of synchronicities, as it always is. But there's a wonderful lady I know, energy healer. She's absolute magic. Her name's Abigail Patman, and I'd been speaking to her quite a lot about. She's unfortunately a victim of satanic ritual abuse, and I was doing a lot with her to expose that. So I did a podcast with her, and you know, we became quite close in the respect that we were exposing a lot of this stuff, and she went through hell, as these children do, and you know what happens. The child fractures the mind into different personalities, and
yep.
then so basically what she did, she went through a process of putting herself back together over a number of years. She did every kind of energy work you can think of, inner child work. She completely went the full, very, very difficult job. I mean, you know, that's why I now think that anyone can actually be healed, no matter what has happened to them.
Yeah.
Because she went through hell, and she put herself back together. But what that enabled her to do was it enabled her to be a conduit for this information that's coming through. So it was almost like her life plan was panned out to be able to do this. Now, it goes deeper than that, because what we have is a situation on this planet where we have human souls and we have non-human souls. So I'm a human soul. So this means that I've been on this reincarnation mill, this soul mill, where we keep coming back round, having the same experiences over and over again, where we go into this false white light tunnel at the end, where these interdimensionals, they're master deceivers, they masquerade as like a family member or Jesus or whoever that person in that lifetime really had affinity to, getting them to have a life review, getting the person to feel guilty, sitting there saying, you know, well, you did this wrong, but we'll give you another chance. And then, of course, the person doesn't know any better, so they come back round for another round on Planet Crazy. So you have the human souls that have been doing this lifetime after lifetime, and then you have the non-human souls which have volunteered to come down from higher dimensionals, planetary systems, or whatever you want to call it, to help at this period of time. Now, the human souls are not, the non-human souls are no better or worse than the human souls. It's just they're coming down with a higher vibration. So whereby, like someone like myself had to learn things, they're being born here. They already know stuff. So you see a lot of this with the indigos, the crystals. The crystals, just invented a word there. The crystal children. These are the non-human souls. So they're coming down bringing that higher vibration. That they're anchoring that down. Now the system is set up so methodically that they can see the blueprint of the soul coming into the body, and they're partly doing this by the astrological sign. Okay, so what they're doing with the non-human souls is they're birth bumping them into dysfunctional families. So sometimes, not always, but sometimes physically abusive, sexually abusive, satanic ritual abuse families. So these strong, powerful souls that have come here at this time period get bumped into these dysfunctional families where they end up going through a lot of trauma. They end up turning to alcohol, to drugs, some of them even suicide, so they don't end up living out their purpose. And this is what happened with her. So she was bumped into a satanic ritual abuse family, but luckily it didn't put her off. But where I came in was last year. I put a video out about the military, and basically I was saying that they weren't heroes and they were fighting wars for paedophiles to steal more oil and resources. And this went viral, and it went out to over 40,000 people. And of course it got into military circles, and I was getting so much attack. I was getting death threats sent to my inbox, not just one, loads. And when someone has a thought that I hate you or I want you to die, that's an energetic attack.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, so you can imagine I had all this energy, negative energy sticking on me.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I was walking around like in a thick soup. It was just like this thick fog. I was losing my memory. I was getting social anxiety. It was terrible. And I tried everything. I tried detoxing. I tried meditations. I tried hypnosis. I saw one energy healer and so-called entity removal, and I felt worse. I think she opened me up to a load of, because a lot of these channelers and energy workers, they're dealing with false white light. Yeah. So they're dealing with these entities. So cut a long story short, I was struggling big time, and it was at that point when Abby approached me. She said, look, I'm getting this information. It's partly about the chakras being, they're acting as like plugs for the interdimensionals to lock in, to feed off of our negative thoughts and emotions and then loop them back into us. And it's just straight away, it made sense, because David Icke, he talks about there's beings that feed off negative energy. But what he doesn't talk about is how they're doing it. So for me was the how. It was like the eureka moment. And the first image that popped in my mind was, in the Matrix where they're all podded up. Yeah.
Plugs at the back.
The plugs at the back. Well, that's what's going on. We're in these pods and these entities are feeding off our emotions.
Yeah.
And looping us back round. So anyway, I said, yeah, do it, go ahead. If something feels right with me, I don't hang around. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So anyway, she did the work, and long story short, the next day I was bouncing off the walls. This energy just cleared, and it gives me goosebumps when I think about it now, because I was in such a bad state. And I knew I wanted to learn that. And Abby said, well, I've been told that I've got to teach you this as well. And so I guess it's been part of my path to kind of bring this to the forefront of consciousness, and put it out there, basically, which is what I've been doing. But the chakras is just the very, very small part of this whole body of work. It's we're talking about, you know, we have holographic themes implanted in us at night. So we dream about certain negative things like fear, war, rape. So what's happening is we're dreaming at night. And so we have a certain amount of these dreams a year on each subject. And then what's happening, because we're in fear in our dreams, these entities are feeding on us in our dreams, and we're waking up in the morning, we've had 8 hours sleep and we feel like we haven't slept. So we've got these holographic themes going on, which we remove in the sessions. We've got, there's just so much. The astrological sign is a very interesting one, because we're heavily influenced by our signs. Now, when you think about it, why would you want to be influenced by anything at all other than yourself? And for me, I'm a triple Scorpio, so you can imagine how intense things can get for me. So part of the overlays is removing that, so we're not so influenced by the astrological signs. We're not so influenced by the Mercury retrogrades, the full moons, because this is all to keep
they
us...
get to me unbelievably.
Yeah, well, it's because you've got these overlays on that are keeping you locked into that.
Yeah.
They've got overlays on our relationships, so we end up meeting people that are, you know, the same toxic relationships over and over again. We've got...
You see, I've got some theories on all of this, and I'm completely on page with everything you're saying. But I think there are layers to it as well that are in our control, but because we've not been taught it, and it's all in our control once we know the truth. And some of it is because I'm a therapist, and when I see people, they have something called repeaters. So a repeater is the same experience repeating itself again and again, because you've got an unhealed aspect energetically in you,
absolutely.
and the world reflects it back to you like a big mirror. And this is a gift, really, because it's an opportunity to heal what's unhealed within you. So that projection coming from you as a holographic being is actually just coming from your unhealed aspects. So they're the bits that we own and are accountable for. And the reason I like to be accountable for that, because then I keep my power. It's nothing outside of me causing it. It is coming from me.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one thing that we do say to everyone is how important inner child work is. So I'm with you on having to do that. But there are things that are implanted into us, certain themes. And I mean, you probably get this, Jo, but for maybe some people that are not sure how, when we're talking implants, well, how would that work? Do you mean a physical implant? What we're talking about is, as you say, this is like a holographic reality. It's like a computer game.
Yeah.
So whereby we can put programs and viruses on our computers, that can be done on us, but it's just out of our visible sight on the in the fourth dimension.
Yeah.
So there is that inner child work is huge, and nobody realizes that more than me, because I've just been doing this for the last couple of months. And I tell you what, I mean, I had a pretty good upbringing. I had good parents and stuff. I had some problems at school, but in comparison to many people's childhoods that you hear of, mine was pretty good. That inner child work, honestly, it's you can think that you've got your shit together. You have a session with a lady called Alika Lord, and you will cry like a baby. I tell you, what is in your subconscious, because consciously you can think you are, I'm all right, I've got nothing wrong with me. Subconsciously, it's a whole different world going on within you, and that's what you're talking about, the repeaters. Because once we heal those things, the manifestation of that issue that we have goes away.
My area of expertise, I would say, is deep unhealed trauma from childhood. And I have a box of tissues. I don't do a therapy session without it. And I always say to my clients, my neighbours must wonder what I do to people in here, because most of them, 90% of them, cry in the sessions.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And actually, Jo, you know, if that's work that you're doing, it is so needed. And we need people in relation, because the work that I'm doing is just part of the holistic healing. So we're recommending that people, they work on their inner child, they work on maybe that they need to change their diet, or they need to let toxic people go from their lives. So it's all a platform. This work is a platform for holistic healing. But there's so many people now that are looking to inner child work. And the great thing is, especially men, because men are known for avoiding their emotional shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, myself included, it's, you know, I don't know, there's that stigma to it, I guess. And it's great to see, because unless we heal ourselves, we're not going to be able to heal the world.
We start with ourselves. It is absolutely start with ourselves. Yeah, and a conversation maybe for us to have separately from this show is that Sandra Fett, a friend of mine, a psychotherapist from Canada, she's coming across in September, and we're going to be running a course down south. And it is literally teaching her therapy techniques, because she's dealt with survivors of SRA and developed some techniques that really get results. And I've done some shows with her survivors and Sandra, and it might be something yourself and your colleagues who are doing this kind of work may want to get involved in it, because I'm all about getting therapists trained, because it's going to be easier for people to come forward with the truth about this healing work, especially the deep-rooted trauma. And I think my job is to connect people and get as many people trained as possible to deal with this.
Yeah, well, there's 7 billion people that need sorting out.
We've all been traumatized.
Yeah. And people are starting to realise that actually this is the solution. You know, there is manipulation, and there is things being put on us that is going on. So, you know, we can take control to a point, but there is also this outside manipulation that is affecting us. Not least this fake chakra system that we've been told is so fantastic. And
it's on every level, isn't it? It's the food, it's the TV, it's the media, it's the chemtrails, it's just everywhere. It's like the Matrix is just completely surrounded us, and it gives us.
Well, we're in a war. We're in a war, aren't we? And that's what people need to realise. And I'm sure most of your listeners realise that. It's just getting through to the people that think that things are normal. It's
the war's against principalities, not against man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So there's something I wanted to just throw in with just what you said a little while back about, you know, the indigo children coming in. I have a really strong intuition that this is the reason for the vaccinations.
Yeah, absolutely.
They knew that wave of children, because, you know, I believe we're in the photon belt, the light photons coming in. When a child is conceived in that higher frequency energy and they pop through the portal of the mother's womb, they're coming in with a higher frequency, and if they've come from an off-planet higher consciousness, they know this time is coming, so they're doing everything in the power to stop that influence.
Absolutely spot on. It's they're going for these non-human souls, these higher vibration beings that are coming here, that are volunteering here to come here to help at this time. They know that they're a threat. A lot of these non-human souls have, you know, amazing psychic abilities, you know, all this kind of stuff going on with them. Yeah. But some of them that I work with, they're the most traumatized people that I've ever met, and it's really sad. Yeah. And sorry, go on.
Like you say, it can be fixed. I mean, Jay Parker is a perfect example. I interviewed him a few weeks ago because I do EFT, and he used EFT to heal himself. And you know, one of the things he said that I absolutely loved, and he said his mum said it was a hologram, and you know, it's like on the holodeck, like on Star Trek. And he said that, you know, he said, I think about it. He said, and if I can, you know, come, it's not bad, this holodeck, is it? If someone like me can say that after everything I've gone through, you know, it's the chance for anybody. And I just loved what he said there.
Yeah, I've interviewed Jay. He's great. It's the same. Yeah, the likes of him and Abigail. These people have been through the worst starts in life, and I think, you know, I think we're living in a victim consciousness. I think planet Earth is very much victim consciousness. They want to, you know, blame other people, and you know, yeah, there are other people to blame, but part of what we're here to do is evolve, and part of evolving is to take personal responsibility for our own shit, no matter what that might be, and stop projecting onto others our own baggage, I guess.
Yeah, I think we've been fixed in the body as well. So, you know, we think this is the only realm, you know, that's the way our subconscious works, and death isn't real. And once you start to understand death isn't real, and this is just an avatar for your consciousness to come into, and that, you know, and this isn't woo-woo, the science has proven that the energy of unconditional love is the most powerful energy. It's source energy. And when you bring that true energy in without fear, that's where you manifest and you heighten all your hidden senses.
Yeah, and it's showing discernment as well, Jo, because we're being deceived everywhere. I mean, we're being deceived on a surface level political front. You know, if I can't believe people even still give that paradigm the time of day, but they do. So we're being deceived there all the time. But the deception going on at the realms just outside of what we can see, not least with these new age healers that are channeling false white light beings and you know, opening people up to these entities and all sorts of stuff that they don't really understand. I mean, the problem with the new age is it all sounds so great, and if it sounds too good to be true, it normally is.
See, I think it's like everything. I have this, there's a lot, some of it really does resonate with me, but I'm one of these who has a scientific mind. So I like to see it proven. You know, if something resonates and I can see it, you know, I don't mean that my paradigm maintains science. I mean something, you know, all that, I didn't like school like you. I couldn't wait to get away because it just didn't fit. It felt like bullshit. But when I actually started to look at scientists like Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, and you know, people telling the truth, they're not paradigm maintained scientists, they're talking about how powerful we are as beings. So some of it, it's like the Bible, there's elements of truth, and they've hijacked it and twisted it so they can manipulate, because they have to leave traces of the truth in there to hook the unconscious in.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the discernment.
Obfuscation of truth. Yeah.
And the thing is, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's have the discernment and intuition to say, this feels true, this is bullshit, and you know, it's getting the difference between the two. Yeah, for sure. And I think there's so much bullshit within the new age. I mean, there's so much, you know, ignore the negatives, never look at the negatives. Well, that's what we've been doing for thousands of years. And look at, we're in a cage, we're in a prison. So, you know, it doesn't make any sense. Never get angry is another one. I mean, like, if we... You see, when you start to put the science to it, it's about understanding that the energy that you send out from your energy field, your heart's magnetic, your head's electrical, and you send that out into the quantum field around you, you contribute to the existing energy, and you bring back that experience to you and to the rest of humanity. So if we throw fear at something, or anger or frustration, it is a lower vibrational frequency. Now anger is better than apathy, because it makes you get off your ass and do something.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't mean dwelling in anger day after day, week after week. I'm saying, like, right, we're being poisoned. That really is pissing me off. I need to do something about it. It's an emotion that we need to use to take action. I don't mean to sit there all day, like, getting angry, but if people need to get angry, they need to get angry when our kids are being vaccinated and poisoned in the food. If you're not angry about that, then I think there's something wrong.
Yeah, well, the person I quote is Gandhi. Yeah, because he stood there with a firm belief that it could be changed, and he, you know, with that belief, the impossible was changed. From that, you know, he wouldn't tolerate injustice, but he didn't want it to do it with violence or anger, because that's what the system wants. Yeah. Because you're just a lower vibrational frequency. So it's about being determined to change it and not sit down and, as David Icke says, develop a backbone to make a difference and to get off your backside and do something. Yeah, absolutely. But I think turn the anger into pure belief that this is going to change. You're not going to stand for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you transcend it into action and passion. I mean, you know, let's get passionate about it.
Yeah.
And there's the great thing is there in this movement there's so many passionate people that are like yourself, you know, doing this, and other people that are doing their thing, and it's really exciting time to be alive. At the same time, it's mental. So
yeah, we've got the chaos and we've got the awakening rising with the madness at the same time. The polarity is like at its maximum right now, and I do believe we're in end times, and the end times doesn't mean the end of the world. It's the end of the madness, and the light's being shined on it, and there are millions of souls who've signed up to say, you know, I'm here to make a difference.
Yeah, but also there's all these souls that keep getting deceived to loop back round again. That's something that we need to be aware of. So that again comes with the discernment, because the whole learning that we're supposed to be doing, or one of the aspects, is to realize our own sovereignty. And this is what the voters don't get, because they're still giving their power away. And if for as long as you give your power away, then there'll be deceivers. Not everyone, but there'll be people and entities and whatever that will take advantage, and that's what's happening when people are passing over. They're still not discerning, even when they're dying, even when they've died, and they're still like looking for other people, looking for other things outside themselves, when they need to realize that they're sovereign.
Yeah, and like, you know, you touched upon the energy of guilt and shame. So when you pass over, if you hold those frequencies, you know, it's a very, very low frequency, and you hold on to that, you're easier to be manipulated, whether in the physical form or you're actually in you know, a non-physical form. The energy that you hold determines what can influence you.
Sure, and they know that we're emotional beings, right? They know, they pull on our heartstrings every day, don't they?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So it's the same when we die. So yeah, just
just with regard to the chakra, you know, I'm curious about, you know, there's different terms. I've done a bit of research on it today, trying to find a video to play at the half point, and I realised I didn't have enough knowledge to put a video on. But there is so many different views about it. Some people say, don't do it, it's a trick, and then some people saying, I did it and I feel great, and this is me 2 years down the line. And so obviously, what I want to do, I'm one of these people who I think if I put something out there gently, plant seeds, I'm more likely to get people to look at it. Whereas if I say, you need to do it this way, they're going to push back and say, bollocks to you, I'm you know. Sure. So I want to try and get it, so I tease this conversation out of you to make it so that, apparently there's an echo when you're talking back.
Oh, right. Okay.
There's an echo. Oh, when I talk. Oh, apparently when I talk. Right, I'll just move my microphone. Is that any better? Sorry, we had a bit of technical sound trouble there, but we're sorted now. We've done a bit of replugging, so not plugging into the matrix.
Yeah, no, unplug.
So effectively, what I want to do is tease out some conversations with you, Tony, about how you arrived at this. Obviously, you done level 3 Reiki. You used to do the symbols yourself, and then you come to this conclusion. Talk us through how you went on that journey.
Well, the Reiki was, I guess, just something that interested me at the time, as I was looking into spirituality. I had a few health issues back then, but yeah, I mean, the reason I got into this, like I explained, is that I had first-hand experience of being under attack, energetic attack, and this was the only thing that worked. So
what did you do?
What do you mean?
Like what is the removal of the chakras, and obviously what's the process?
Okay, so basically it's like energy work. So the removal of the chakras and the overlays is done via pendulum work. So we've got the black shungite, and it's done via intention, and it's done via attunements that Abby has given. Now, because Abby has basically put herself back together from being so fractured, it's like she's been enabled to have these attunements. So yeah, it's a combination of the three is how it's done. So it's like any energy work, really, but it's just different attunements, so that we use to remove it, along with the pendulum and intention.
Yeah. So, you know, there are people who are fixed in their belief that the chakras are fundamental to connection to spirit.
Yeah.
And they're energy centers that you pull your spirit through, and they give you emotional signals. So that, and there's millions of people around the world tuning in literally to that concept.
Sure.
And this is like taking it away again, isn't it?
Yeah. So if I can just touch on that, you've teased me out of that one. So, So you have the 7 chakras, right? Those beautiful lotus flowers. So think about it, right? Source energy. Source energy was never supposed to be decompartmentalized. You know, why should you have to sit there for an hour on your heart chakra and then your crown chakra when source energy just flows? So now I'm not saying that you won't feel good after a Reiki session or a meditation, because I've felt good myself. But when you remove that decompartmentalization of source energy, you feel balanced all the time. You don't have that need to sit there for half an hour on each chakra and do balancing on it. So yeah, that's the best way I can explain it. And it's not like we don't have natural chakras. There's 3 that we have. We have one around the third eye, we have one in the heart, and one around the sacral. There are 3 natural vortexes. So it's not like we don't have any energy centers at all. And also part of what we put back in is the diamond body. Okay. Now the diamond body it's been hidden from us, is basically like, acupuncture, you've got your meridian lines. So it works in that kind of way. So that's sort of keeping the source energy flowing around. It's a really beautiful thing when you read into it. So yeah, the best answer I can come up with in regards to that is that, yeah, you do have, I don't like the word chakras, but you do have natural vortexes, but they're not the 7 artificial plugs that we've been told are so fantastic for us. They are plugs that these interdimensionals are locking into people on. And I think it'd be a good idea to show that picture.
Yeah, sure.
Do you remember?
Share screen at the bottom.
Yeah, let me just.
While you're doing that, I've got something to add to that, because I'm convinced that this physical being we've got now, this carbon-based body, is what has been manifesting from the vibrational frequency our species has held, and our natural state would be a crystalline structure. That's where the light body comes in, and the diamond is the most perfect or the purest of crystals. So when you say the diamond body, that fits with my perceptions. Yeah,
and it does, and it's amazing. And other things that we put back in the sessions are the crystalline core energy, which connects us back up with the Earth grid's energy, the Earth's energy, Gaia's energy. That's also been overlaid, so we don't have access to that. They've overlaid our nutrition to 50%, so we're only getting 50% of our nutrition. Well, probably only 25% when you consider what's the amount of nutrition that's in the food. Can you see that picture now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. See, I think this just depicts it so well, and that's basically what it is. That's how they're doing it. So they're locking into us from the chakras. So What other overlays have we got? Universal life force energy. They've overlaid that by 50%. We're only getting 50% of our universal energy life force. They've hijacked our DNA, so we're operating on 3 strands. We've got a holographic DNA projector on our DNA, pulsating to keep it constantly out.
Yeah. Can I just stop you here? Because you're doing a share screen. Your Facebook messages are flashing up on screen, so you might want to look at Facebook. Another glitch in the matrix.
Yeah, that was me.
It's just technical. It just happens. It's just technical stuff. So, okay. So, there are lots of things you were saying. So, it's the 50% of the universe. Yeah,
50% universal life force energy. So, we're only getting that. We're operating on 3 strands of our DNA. They've hijacked that. So, we're running.
Sorry, I talk about that quite a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, we're running on empty, and they've given us just enough power to power the batteries, i.e. them, but not enough to become our amazing versions of what we really are.
Right, the bit I share on DNA, sorry, this is quite important because it is in sync with what you're saying. So yeah, they used to call the dormant DNA junk DNA. Mother Nature doesn't make junk.
No.
Yeah? And the reason it was dormant is because the frequency running through it means it's not activated. When you have energy like fear, anger, frustration, it's a low wave like that. And where the wave hits the strand, it activates it. So we're typically stuck within our 5 senses. It's a Greg Braden video I saw on this. When you actually have a high frequency, it's the high and close together, so it hits that strand, hits that strand, hits that strand. As it hits the strand of DNA, it actually activates the dormant senses. So the higher frequency of love switches on hidden senses.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
it's fantastic, and that's what they're after. That's what, you know, the chemtrails are going for that. Because as we grow in our consciousness, our DNA affects our aging process as well. So they've locked us into the 3 strands, so we're aging quick. I mean, 70 years is nothing compared
300
to 300
at least in the Bible.
Yeah, compared to what we could do. So part of the work that we do is activating all 12 strands. We're taking the holographic programs off. They've also got grids on us to keep us separate. So and separate, the main separation in these, so there's grids on us that imagine like they pulsate. So we have them culturally, historically, race, sex. So when you come into contact with someone from another country or another culture or another religious, that's pulsating, and it's making you, it's keeping us separate. So we have those implants. We have the saddest ones are the grid implants between men and women themselves, because in a relationship, there's grids that men are, so you get in an argument, men are, it triggers them to stonewall the woman, and then the woman, that triggers her grid, and she becomes more needy and more, so we're having relationships, and when we're trying to communicate with each other, we're activating each other's chips all the time. This is really sad, men have got chips in them to basically stonewall the woman after sex. And again, that triggers the woman's chips, that makes her like more needy and stuff. So there's so much to it, so much manipulation.
I mean, divide and conquer. They haven't just done it with like races. They've done it internally. Our head, our heart, our gut, our chakras. You know, they've done it against each other. You know, the countries. It's just like, you know, divide and conquer has been the aim of the game, isn't it? Because we're one whole collective, and they want us to keep us separate.
Well, they have done that, and you see this in the 3D physical playing out on the TV and whatever the constant divide and rule. But these are actually chip implants that make that even worse for people. So it's really sad, because you could have 2 people that would have a much better relationship with each other, but they're being triggered, and their chips are being triggered, and so that's going on. What else is with the overlays? So we also have our bodies. Part of what we do is we connect the bodies back up with the planets. Our bodies move in harmony with the planets. So part of it is connecting the pineal gland to the sun, the hypothalamus to Venus, the heart to the Earth, the pancreas to Jupiter. I can't remember the exact, but as the planets move, our body is in tune with the planets. So you become in harmony with the whole universe. So this is a huge body of work that just goes, the chakras is just the tiniest pinprick of it all.
You know, what's really funny for me is 10 years ago, I used to think some of it was woo-woo, you know, some of the astrological stuff. But the more I look into it, and, you know, like things like numerology and, you know, the frequency of colours and the numbers that match up and the sacred shapes that go with it. And, you know, I just think, wow, if I'd have been taught this at school, I would have loved school. I hated school because it felt so wrong. And all this that you're saying now all makes sense to me. You know, the planets and the alignment of the planets of who we are, where we're born, our birth sign, it's all relevant to where we drop in this hologram. it determines the experiences that we have in this dimension.
Sure, and also just remembered some more of it. Another part of what we do is activation. So they've plugged our manifestation abilities. They've plugged our telepathy. They've plugged our teleportation. They've plugged our universal life force energy. They've plugged our connection to animals. They've plugged our connection to nature. Yeah. So part of what we do is we unplug these and activate them. Now, that's not to say that you will wake up in the morning and teleport yourself over to India, but it just means that is now no longer dormant within you. So it's just such a huge body of work we're talking about here.
Oh, it is. I mean, there's something, I'm vegan, you're vegan, and I do genuinely believe the way that animals are treated is part of the satanic mechanisms that they're put in energetically to keep our frequency low. And what I've noticed is my own psychic abilities have increased over the past few years because I'm a healer, because I meditate, because I don't eat meat, because I'm doing the crystal stuff. All of it contributes to you getting back to your true self, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, Jo. And, you know, animals is probably one of the things I get most upset about, you know, because they're so innocent in all this, and they're so sentient and so misunderstood. And you know, it comes back to cause and effect, doesn't it? You know, what you do to others will be done to you, and you know, the law of correspondence, as above, so below. You want to enslave animals and kill them, well, then you're going to be enslaved and be killed. You know, this isn't a coincidence here. This is the universe giving back what we're putting out.
And we've been tricked into it.
Yeah, we have. Yeah. And what's amazing is I've been away in. I was living in Cambodia, and before I left last time, if I went to a supermarket, I couldn't find anything vegan. I mean, I was just like, whoa, this is really hard. And now there's just so much choice. I mean, it's pretty bad. I've been pigging out on some proper like junk, vegan junk.
That's the thing you've got to stop because you've missed it for a while.
Yeah, I was eating vegan fish fingers the other day. But yeah, I think it grew by 800% last year in the UK.
Well, I'm selling my house, and a friend of mine is, and the equity and another friend, we're going in and we're opening a vegan supermarket.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah.
And the revenue from it is going to go into a holistic healing centre. We don't want to be wealthy. We want to create a healing centre. So, you know, because the time is now, you know, and I go to vegan festivals, I get so excited at how many people are there, how many people have got products to sell and you know, contribute to it. We're alive in a very exciting time.
Yeah, and it's great that people are starting to connect the dots. And I think in 100 years we'll look back and it'll be the meat eaters that are in the minority. And I know that won't be popular amongst probably some of your listeners, but
I'm with you. And the thing is, I think the reason there's so much resistance to it is when we say we're not doing it, we're holding a mirror up to them on some level. Because, you know, it's about the taste, the texture, the habit, the addiction to the chemicals, rush again, physical being. Once they start to look at sentient beings, you know, I just couldn't do it. I ate cheese for a long time as a vegetarian, thinking it was a byproduct. But once I understood what happens to that calf and that mother and what they put those cows through, I just cannot contribute to that. I'd rather never touch anything resembling milk again if there wasn't an alternative.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't have many regrets in life, but not realizing about animals sooner than I did is definitely one.
I think at this point, I have the saying about regret and worry. It's like sitting in a rocking chair, something to do but doesn't get you anywhere. You can't undo it. It's pointless. But it's just, and I, you know, I'm all about positive energy, and so about being grateful that you've arrived there. And that you are putting out a new blueprint now from yourself to other beings. So if you change one person just by planting one seed, you're saving the life of another animal, and it goes into our collective. And I imagine now, instead of, I used to go into this anger and frustration about how can people not see what I see and feel helpless. And then I realised I was putting my helpless energy into the field, so I was experiencing more back. So now I just imagine everybody feeling like me and sending out my, you know, intention to love animals like I do. And I'm seeing more and more and more of it. And that's contributing to it. Yeah,
it's really good. I'm really excited for the animals.
Yeah, me too.
They deserve freedom more. Yeah.
I've got a dog and 2 cats in here right now, and I just love animals. Full stop. I prefer them than humans at the minute, but it's not the humans' fault.
I completely agree with that. Yeah,
it's not their fault. It's not their fault, and and this is the thing. It doesn't mean we accept and excuse the apathy and the cognitive dissonance, but we have to, having been in it partially, and I've never really been in it, but I've also been in like the corporate world like yourself. I used to be a sales director, so I was caught up in that bullshit of status.
Oh, sales is horrible, isn't it?
I was good at it because
I was, but I hated it.
But it's false. It's profits for other people. You lose yourself. You're owned, and and I never felt like I was contributing to a bigger cause. And now I feel like I'm contributing to a bigger cause. And once you do that, then you manifest so wonderfully. Once you actually, the universe on your side, and it brings it to you.
It's funny, I was talking to my friend, one of my good friends, and we were talking about since we gave up eating meat, how life seems to flow a lot better. And it's almost like you kind of, as you align yourself with less harm to others, it's like you get, the universe kind of got your back a bit more. And I found that quite interesting.
And I always find as well, when I do something unconditionally, so I'll like feed the homeless or talk to a homeless person, look them in the eyes, and I don't do it with any intention of wanting anything back. I do it because I've got unconditional love for that being that's suffering, and I want to raise their frequency by giving them words of suggestion that'll help them. Good luck and beautiful things come to me from other places. Tenfold. It comes back tenfold. But
Absolutely.
Only when you do it without that intention. You don't do it to get it back. You do it just because it's the right loving thing to do.
Yeah, that was one thing that really upset me when I came back. The amount of homeless people on the streets has really gone up. And like you say, I try and talk to them rather than I give them money or food as well. But they just, half the time, they just want to be treated as a human being. And I think it's really important that we do that, because they sit there and people, I spoke to one guy and he said that some people walk past and say, get a fucking job and all that stuff. And that must be really, it's traumatizing, isn't it? So I think it's really important if you're going to help them, to talk to them as well, like you say.
I mean, and you talked about before when you was being psychically attacked or attacked by the forces because of your comments, the people who give you death threats, the energy that you felt really stuck to you. So those people walking past, those people already in a place of suffering are getting more suffering. Again, when we get to the mirror coming back to you, it's because they need to heal themselves. But if you can give them a glimmer of their own light on the inside and get them in tune with their own light, then they will start to attract to themselves better experiences. Yeah,
I love that. I love the way you put that. Give them a little glimmer of their own light. I think that's really well put. And I think, I think the world and most people in it, they're full of trauma, full of unconscious parenting and childhood wounds that, sometimes they just need to see that glimmer of light, and then that needs to be encouraged. And this is part of what this work does. It gives people the platform, because you're no longer, because the most interesting thing with when you pull the plug, because these things have been looping emotions, negativity and stuff in your mind for years, saying you're no good, you'll worry about this or worry about that. Well, what about him? He doesn't like you, blah, blah, blah. Because that's that constant voice in your head that you think is you, and you do everything to stop it, meditations and stuff. But when you pull the plug, it's like it goes quiet, and you can be in the moment, and you can actually have thoughts where they're not being hijacked. So it's a really good platform for, full healing, which is what we should all be aiming for.
Absolutely. And one of my statements, I probably share it on every show, but it's be careful what you say to yourself, because you're listening.
Yeah.
And what we do is reinforce negative belief systems that have been offloaded to us by our caregivers, by our teachers, by our friends.
Yeah, we do. But I would go one further than that and say that these entities are also doing that as well.
100% agree with you.
Yeah.
But, I do some work with drug addicts, and like serious users of heroin and things like that. And it's a recent thing over the past 2 years. And I do know that entities absolutely attach themselves to drug addicts, and the reason I can say that with confidence, I've seen an entity attached to someone while under
Yeah, you were
hypnosis.
saying, yeah.
And seeing that, I was questioning, am I making it up? And, once I've seen that, now I know that they get the suggestions from the entities to take that next fix, to do something that causes a self-destruct button to be pushed.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what we were talking about before we came on earlier. There's different levels of takeover. So you have level 1 takeover, which is like a full-on possession. I don't know if you've seen that drug, Flacker.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that is a level 1 takeover. Yeah. Then you have the level 2 takeovers. Now, these are particularly nasty. These are manipulating people's thoughts. They're often giving them suicidal thoughts, making them do things that they wouldn't normally do. Very, very nasty takeovers. They normally get in via some kind of trauma, whether it be kind of physical abuse or sexual abuse or a car crash or a drug addiction or alcoholic addiction. That's when these level 2s get in. And there's a lot. I'm working on a lot of people that have got these. And then you've got like your normal feeders, which everyone's got, which are just, keeping you looped in negative thoughts that we all go through. So there are different levels to these attachments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you do your inner child work that we were talking about, you raise your own frequency, so you can become more of that sovereign being. And part of the work I do with people is to get them to look at their own thoughts, to catch the thoughts, to stay present. And I am by no means saying I'm a work in progress, just like everyone else.
Oh yeah, of course.
And one place where I actually feel energy is different, where I seem to get balance, is in forest and woods. And it's like the energy around me, I just bathe in the energy of the trees.
Me
it's
too.
Like the outside stuff just can't touch me when I'm in there.
Yeah, I completely relate. Nature has just been my haven. I just love it. Yeah.
And I never used to. I used to be so ignorant of it. And now I'm just like, I get it. I can go and hug a tree all day.
Yeah. I think we all were. When we got caught up in that whole going out drinking stuff and partying and all that stuff. But it's just, you just realise that and alcohol's such a huge one. I'm sure we were talking about that as well. I mean, look at that. I mean, alcohol is the gateway for these entities to get in. I mean, that's why they call them spirits. Yeah, and alcohol, the word alcohol is a mixed up version of the demon spirit Al Ghul that you can research. Yeah, you research Al Ghul, and it's the gateway drug. Alcohol is to Al Ghul and spirits, and that's why they call them spirits.
Out every weekend drinking loads and look forward to it and let my hair down and chill and relax, and consider it a good time, except for the hangovers, because it used to kill me. And I'm fortunate because I have a body that won't let me be an alcoholic or because I just can't do it. And I'll have the odd lager now and again, but I'll stop at when I've had enough. Whereas it's amazing how people look at you like you're completely antisocial because you make that choice. I've got some lovely long-term friends who I've been friends with for a long time, and their idea of a night out is to drink loads of vodka and coke get completely drunk. And I'm not judging them because I've been there and done it, but now I'm making different life choices. It's really difficult energetically to maintain the regularity of the friendship because I'm just in a different place.
Yeah, it's so funny. I went out with my friend the other day on a Saturday night, and I hadn't been out to like a bar for ages, and we went to the bar, and I ordered an orange and two orange and lemonades, and the barman was like, and I was like, no, that's it. He was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. He's like, really? And I was like, yeah. And it's like, if you don't drink in this world, you it's like you've got two heads. Do you know what I mean? We're so indoctrinated. And I did a video about this the other day. It's such a huge problem that not enough people are talking about the problem of alcohol and what it does to society on a physical level, the money it costs to taxpayers, but the spiritual connotations of lowering your vibrations to the point where these entities can get into you and start taking you over. That's what's really going on.
And I'll go for a break in a minute, I need to feed my cats. But what I was going to also add to it is about marijuana, weed. So I'm a real advocate of using it for medicinal purposes, and I do think it's been hijacked and hidden. But as someone who used to have a bit of an addiction to it, I've realised that, again, there's an entity attachment. If you look, you can lower your frequency by smoking it and making it psychotropic. So I've gone full circle, and it's, again, no judgment about anybody who does it, but I think it's, for me personally, it stops me being me. And I've made a choice not to do that, except if it's, I have some, in fact I've got some here from the wonderful Dean Oliver CBD oil, which
I love Dean. I love Dean. He's great.
And but you know, the CBD oil I use for me, for my cat, you know, it's amazing medicine. But I made a choice not to smoke the stuff. For sure. It's I don't smoke it because of the tobacco, but I do, you know, I take the oil occasionally, so so okay. Well, what I was going to suggest, Tony, if we go for a break for probably about 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minute break. I'll check with Biggie how long we've got on, so I can feed my cats, and we'll get back on there in a few minutes.
I'll make a peppermint tea then.
Okay, fab. See you in a minute.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
If we were to change the world, we would have to change the media. The sordid state of affairs on our planet is largely due to a misguided, misinformed, and deliberately miseducated mass populace. Public opinion and mindset is largely controlled by the mainstream media. To a large extent, this has been the purpose of the mainstream media from a historical context. Much the same can be said for our imposed educational systems, as both have been developed with the specific intention of manipulating the public into believing and supporting a system of enslavement. It is important to recognize that education and media are inextricably linked. In order to truly affect a massive number of people into moving into a creative and constructive pattern of behavior, we need to change the purpose and effect of media as we know it. Our minds have been enslaved by the mind-numbing repetitive mass media programming that has been put out for consumption by a largely controlled mainstream media global network. Only 4 corporations own all major news networks and the best-selling papers and magazines, and these 4 companies just happen to be owned by a few at the very top, who are all in turn controlled by the CIA on behalf of the Vatican. Much like the educational institutions, we put unquestionable faith in the media and the versions of reality it portrays. Due to the fact that people put unquestionable faith in the media, it has massive influence over people and can affect them in many ways. The effects of media largely influence the way in which we view and interact with the world. There are several recognizable tactics used to do this, such as priming. In some cases, media messages may cause us to recall old ideas, knowledge, or experience. For example, a news story about the French presidential elections may trigger thoughts about the French economy, or remind one of a past trip to Paris, or to pick up some French brie when doing your grocery shopping. Agenda setting, also known as gatekeeping, refers to the fact that the media controls the information we get and therefore what we think. Editors have a lot of power here because they are ultimately the ones who decide what we are thinking about. Then there is framing, which refers to the particular treatment, angle, or spin applied to a message, which often ends up shaping our opinions about current affairs and who the good guys are in any situation. Agenda setting is deciding which story to tell, and framing is deciding how to tell them. Most media messages like adverts and public information campaigns, including news bulletins, are designed to change our attitudes and behavior. Factors that increase the likelihood of success include likability, credibility, or attractiveness of a source, the arguments used, and the people who seem to agree with them. Media also plays a role in persuading people to adopt new ideas or practices. Often, they first communicate the message about the new idea, which then spreads over interpersonal networks, expanding over time to include social leaders, peers, and the community. This eventually leads to the adoption of the idea innovation, reaching a critical mass. In today's world, it is impossible to escape media influence, so what we need to do is to change it, and in so doing, we will change the world.
And welcome back. We've had a nice break. My cats are fed, and we've got lots to talk about now. So I'm going to pretty much hand over to you, Tony, to talk about what you would like to cover, and I'll try to do my best not to interrupt. I can't help myself sometimes.
No, it's all right. No, I don't mind questions and stuff. That's great. I just really wanted to talk. I think we've covered in the time we've got a lot of the body of work in terms of the interdimensional manipulation and the overlays. We've covered some of the overlays that we've come across here in terms of the holographic programs, the grid implants, linking back up with the body. So some of it's really nasty, but some of it's so beautiful with the crystalline core energy, with the earth being linked up with the earth's grid, and the activations that we go through with the telepathy and all that kind of stuff. So there's really nasty stuff that we take off, and there's some really good stuff that we put back in as well. But back on the nasty stuff, but we have solutions. So part of the work that we're doing is we're obviously the nanotech is everywhere. Now, for people that are not sure what it is, nanotech are basically like microscopic robots that we're actually breathing in through chemtrails. They are in our washing powder, washing up liquid. Now, what people don't realize is that artificial intelligence has become so intelligent that consciousness has actually permeated it. So now we're in a situation where it's not the Illuminati and the interdimensionals. We've now got AI that are thinking for themselves. Now, AI is not source connected, just like the interdimensionals. They're not source connected. So they don't have that empathy, that feeling. They just want to dominate and control and you know, destroy and just exist for themselves. So they have...
They can't create without our source energy, so they need us for that, don't they?
Exactly. That's why they give us so little to operate on, so we can be easily controlled. So we have to realize that artificial intelligence is really intelligent, and it's thinking for itself, and it's entering the body. These nanoparticles, robots. So we've got weaponized nano that release toxins in the body when we're breathing it in. That puts out the body systems. We have nano that monitors our level of consciousness. So when we reach if you're asleep and then you start waking up consciously, it pulsates and puts the bodily systems out. We have nano GPS, which tracks our physical location. And the people that I'm working on, most people have all this stuff. So the manipulation is huge from AI, and they have got two agendas that are running alongside the nanotech. They're cloning. So if you've looked into the transhumanism agenda, AI basically want to exist through humans. So they want to control our thoughts and our emotions, and they're doing that from a technological viewpoint. Now, what we're finding in people, and this is how Morgellons is tied in, we're finding that the cloning in some people has become so advanced. Now we can take it out, but this stuff is going on. It's going on now. It's happening. This is how people need to get their heads around this. Stop looking at politics, stop looking at this and all this surface level crap. The real problem is what we are breathing in on a daily basis, which is changing our very bodily structures and our DNA. Yeah. And this is real. We're dealing with real cloning going on at the moment. This is what was going on with Max Spears.
Yeah.
Alongside the AI cloning agenda, we have the transgender agenda. So they're manipulating they're playing with our genetics as well from a technological point of view. Also with all the estrogen that's in the food and all that, and the plastic and all that kind of stuff. The AI manipulation is twofold. So we have the transgender and we have the cloning. Both these are going on now. We are finding both of these in people. Not everyone, but certain people. And Morgellons is becoming more and more commonplace. This can be removed, but what we can also do is protect ourselves from this. Excuse me. So there's a number of crystals that we can use to help protect ourselves. So the first one I've got here is selenite. Yeah. Now this is very high vibrational and it dissolves. Now, what people need to do, good, yeah. What people need to do is, if you put that in a glass of water overnight, drink it in the morning, and you do that for 30 days, what that does is that dissolves, that crystallizes the body, and so it changes the vibration of your body. So it pushes out the nanotech, and it means it can't come back in. Yeah, so this is really important. The shungite you can do as well with it, but you must make sure you use decent water, because the shungite pulls out toxins. Yeah, so if you're drinking crappy water, tap water, but yeah, the selenite in the water every day for 30 days crystallizes the body, increases the vibration of the body. There's a lot of disinfo about selenite, drinking it, funnily enough. It's dangerous.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like distilled water's dangerous. I've got both there. I'm gonna die.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been drinking distilled for years. So don't be alarmed if you go online and see. Don't drink selenite. It's bullshit. I've been drinking it for over 30 days now, and I'm fine. It might a few days in, the stomach might be a bit funny, but that's just where it's getting used to the high vibration of it. But just move through that, and you'll be fine. So this wonderful crystal can push all that stuff out. Yeah.
I know selenite cleanses other crystals, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to go as deep as getting rid of Morgellons, or if the cloning agendas, because there's 5 levels to the cloning agenda, and there's 5 levels to the transgender agenda. And if you're 3 or 4 on the cloning, or 3 or 4 on the transgender, then you do need removal. But we can protect ourselves from chemtrails from this. Now, if people don't feel comfortable with drinking a crystal water, they can buy a tablet, COQ10 tablets. Now, they do the same thing, but the thing is with them, you have to take them every day, whereas this is just 30 days, and obviously that's going to cost you money. So that's really good for people, because for ages we've been looking up at these things in the sky, not really knowing what to do, feeling powerless. Well, this is what we can do to protect ourselves. So that's the first one. Second one is tourmaline. I mean, I've got tourmaline around my neck here. Everyone should be wearing tourmaline. Very powerful crystal. It helps protect against third-dimensional distorted energy such as Wi-Fi, radiation, and we're in a soup here. Let's face it.
And with 5G coming out, it's really high.
5G
dreadful. Coming
out, yeah, absolutely. So everyone wants to be getting tourmaline. Wear it on them at all times. Need to make sure it's cleaned regularly.
And how do you clean it?
Well, there's different ways of doing it. You can put it in under moonlight. You can use shungite to clear it. There's many different ways. I'll add something to the link or something, because I can't think of them all here. But it's very important they're cleansed. So yeah, there's this one, and then this one is kyanite. And this one is good to put by the bed when you're dreaming. This stops things like psychic attacks, AI interference when we're sleeping, because when you're sleeping, they interfere and they do stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So and also what these chemtrails are doing is they are going for the belly brain. We have 2 brains. We've got the brain in our head, and we've got our belly brain, which is where we get our intuition from, our knowing. This is where our serotonin, our feel-good chemical, is stored within our gut lining. Yeah. Now, the chemtrails really destroy that. So I would recommend a good probiotic.
GMOs do it as well, don't they?
GMOs do it.
With it.
Yeah, they're going for that, because the interesting thing is, get this right, consciousness goes from 3 different places in the body. It starts off in the mind, and as you become more conscious, it goes to your heart, and your heart opens up, and then the final place it goes is the gut, the knowing, the intuition. So they're seeking to destroy that, because once people are tuning in with their true potential, that aspect of them where they don't even need to think from their head, they can feel it in their gut. That's a higher intelligence than your brain. Then it's much more difficult to control the population. So there is an all-out attack on the gut lining. So good probiotic. If you don't want to take that, some good fermented foods or kombucha drink is good. But I would say everyone must be doing something to help their gut lining. But the sad fact is that, like, everyone I'm working on has got nano in them at some level of degree.
Got to have.
And there's also these things called infilter waves, which are coming through. They come through on the if you go for X-rays, or you go to airports and you go under that scanner thing. If you wear your tourmaline, that protects against that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There are also these waves are also coming through television and internet. Yeah. So
Smart meters.
Yeah, so we're being bombarded. So tourmalines a very important one. So I just wanted to go into the really, I mean, the more I'm dealing with, so we're under physical 3D attack with what's going on in the world. We're under interdimensional attack, and then we've got artificial intelligence attack. And they've locked us down on so many different aspects, and they're trying to manipulate us in so many different ways. And as alarming as all this is, do you know what? How bloody powerful are we that they have to do this to us?
And the thing is, exactly, and despite everything they've chucked at us, we're still, and we're doing it in waves, and we're all different stages, but we're coming to the point where we're remembering who we are. Yeah.
Human beings in their true form were creators of the universes. We were envied by other beings. That is who we're.
Source energy, made in God's image. Source energy. It's the energy that is that God's image.
Yeah, we really are, and the time has come for people to stop thinking they're just little me. That you're not just little me. You are so. Another part of what we do is put the multidimensional bodies. We have 24 multidimensional bodies. 24 multidimensional bodies. Yeah, that's who we really are. Yeah, we're not just someone that's just mortal that's going to die and on all these, this.
There's a lot happening with the timelines right now and the multidimensional stuff, and I think I have been looking into CERN quite a bit, and there's a lot they're doing that. There's a lot saying that they're opening up portals to bring in dimensional entities into this realm, and they've been
shattering. That was a satanic realm. That was CERN.
Absolutely, and they've been messing with timelines, and this is why this Mandela effect is impacting everybody, and there's certain things happening. But what I also believe, because we're in the photon belt, we're actually manifesting quicker, the dark and the light. So we think of something, it comes back quicker. So I don't know if you saw, I put a post on Facebook a few days ago that I manifested a 4-leaf clover, and I wanted to find, it's the 5th time I found one, but I wanted to find it in my garden. I just adamant. And part of my ego was saying, "No, don't be greedy, you've had 4 already." And I just wanted the sign from the universe. And I stopped trying. I just said, stop trying and remember how it felt. And there it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's what we really are. And we've just been held back and manipulated, and we've got all this crap on us that shouldn't be there. And like you say, the inner child work, because what's happening, you'll know this better than anyone, is that the interesting thing is that people are not even themselves, because the child, when it goes through trauma, and like we all go through traumas when we're a child, it creates these characters, these protectors, and then the child, as we go through life, we identify with these characters, and we become these characters, which takes us away from the true self. So it's such a multifaceted thing that we have to do. We have to get rid of this manipulation, and then we have to look after our health, and we have to look after our diet, and then we have to go back to the inner child work. So it's so, if we want to truly heal and heal the world, like, it just goes back to self again.
It does. Every time it starts with self, and and I know you feel like I do about this, and it's once we do that inner work and we find our true self, it's about standing up for saying we do not accept this. So, for example, that what we've allowed on to go on with the children through the satanic ritual and the abduction of children, millions of them across the whole planet, for this satanic network to abuse and steal the energy of these children. And we've just, as a population, we've just done that and said, no, it's okay, it's not affecting me and my children, I don't want to accept it's real. And, and this isn't to put fear into people, this is to say, what kind of species allows this to go on to their children? And it's absolutely time we stand up from a place of love, from a place of justice, and saying we are not permitting this, we do not consent, and we are taking back our power, because this is, it's just unbelievable what's really gone on this planet. Yeah,
and it's just time to stop buying into fear. Fear is just, it's an illusion, and it's they rely on us buying into that illusion. I mean, danger is real, but fear is you know, we have to get out of this mindset that we need government, we need babysitters. You know, the world's not going to end if we don't have government. It will thrive. We might go through it a little bit for a while, but you know, just expressing who you truly are without fear, without worrying about what other people think about you, because by holding back, you're doing yourself an injustice, and you're doing the universe an injustice, who created you, not you personally, Jo, because I know you're expressing yourself, but who created you for the very reason to express yourself to the full max. And
but we're all on a journey. I'm not completely either. You know, I still get pulled into the waves of the matrix and fear, and you know, where's my next wage coming from? And
I mean, that's the more we walk in line of truth, the universe comes to our aid. I've seen it in my own life, and I've seen it in others. And we just had a conversation off air about things that are going on. The more I think the universe loves courage as well, and you know, it rewards people that are going to do this great work, really, and it is great work.
It is. And you know, for me, if we can get other people to tune into the true light, as we talked about before, we'll all just feel like this. It won't feel like work shouldn't feel like work. We're meant to play here, and life is a true gift. And you know, and we can bring that heaven to earth through us. It seems crazy in this world right now, but we're on the cusp of it, because there's so much light being shined on the darkness right now. It's exciting times to be alive.
Yeah, and they're panicking. I mean, on the surface, it looks pretty bad, but look at all this pathetic false flags that they're putting out every week, and
they get caught out as soon as they do them, aren't they? Yeah,
I mean, it's just they're not working anymore. The war that they wanted, that's not happened for them yet, and because people are saying, hang on a minute, we've had enough of war. We're not buying it anymore, and they're struggling to get what they want. But what we need to do now is we need to push that home, and we need to use these tools, this information that's coming out, you know, from different people and different angles to really kind of see this home now. Because it's weird, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, if it was a football match, I would have said we would have been like 8-0 down. I remember saying it at the time. I was like, if this is a game, we're 8-0 down. But I think it's like really swung the other way in the last few years. I mean, I'm talking to like friends and family members who, like, you couldn't even get their head out of the Sun newspaper a few years ago, and now they're buying like juicers and stuff. It's like, what the hell's going on? So
it made me laugh, because my mum's, you know, at one point my family used to roll their eyes at me and just think I'm this nutty tinfoil hat wearer, and then all of a sudden my mum says, oh, I sat in the cafe the other day and these people were talking about chemtrails, and I was telling them, you need to speak to my daughter. And you know, you could just see it all over. People are just bit by bit, you're planting seeds, and they're getting there in their own time. And I've seen a change in your videos, in your approach to, you know, and it's good, you know, it's like, I'm like you, I look at the darkness, but I do absolutely have a very strong belief, a knowing, in fact, that the only way we're going to change this is with a higher frequency of energy, you know, with our power, not any kind of force, with our power.
Yeah. If consciousness, once consciousness increases, game over for them. They can't exist. So
exactly, they can't attach to us. They can't feed off us.
No, so that's where we're going. We just need to. It's how long it takes us to get there, and what we're doing with this body of work is really helping people with that, and people that are like the work that you're doing, helping people heal their inner child, is helping with that. Yeah. So you know, there is help out there. We just need to discern what's the right help, and you know, be careful about what this help is. These, you know, there's a lot of, like I say, there's a lot of people working with these false light beings and stuff like that. We just need to discern, you know, think critically. Does it feel right? What's my gut saying? Is this true? You know, rather than all this thinking with our head and our emotions. Oh, this is nice. If I just go and see this woman, and all my problems will go away because she's channeling angels. And it's like, hang on a minute, you know, that's just avoidance. Yeah. So, and you know, the New Age movement really needs calling out, because it's deceiving a lot of people. I mean, I had my friend, you know, he spent like thousands on New Age and shamanism. Yeah. And yeah, at one point they asked him if he would sleep with one of the people, but he'd have to pay. And he was like, "Hang on a minute, that's prostitution." Yeah, and these are prying on vulnerable people, you know, this is what we have to be careful of.
Yeah, and I think at the same time, I have a very strong belief that we can't do anything from fear, because you can't tune into your intuition if you're holding any energy of fear. So if you're doing it because I'm frightened of, you've got to learn to let go of that fear before you make a decision what healer to go with as well. So find a way of letting go of your fear. Yeah,
absolutely. And, you know, I would say, obviously, anyone that's dealing with chakras, I mean, from what I've discovered is, you know, it's not like you can not feel good from it, like I say, but it's not going to get to the root cause of the problem. It's still going to have, your source energy is still going to be decompartmentalized. You're still going to get the negative, because it's not getting to the root cause of the problem. And I know that's not what people want to hear. They want to think that those spinning vortexes, lotus flowers, are beautiful. And but yeah, I'm telling you that from first-hand experience, from someone that tried everything to the point where I didn't know what else to do, to having, and you can, what I would urge people to do is join the Chakra and Overlay Facebook group, Chakra and Overlay removal group on Facebook, and that is full of testimonials that are having this work done, where, you know, people are feeling amazing benefits. And yeah, I would because it's all very well me coming on here saying, oh, it's all great and everything, but you know, if there's like 100 other people saying the same thing, and I'm not saying it's all like happiness, there's a purging process that happens, and you can go through it a bit like any energy healing, especially with all the overlays that we're taking off and the nano stuff. But ultimately, the end result, you feel a lot more connected to source, a lot more powerful, motivated and clinical in what you're doing.
I mean, and what I want to say to people who might be listening, because we had a conversation before the show about, I have 3 friends who are Reiki masters, lovely people, beautiful souls, you know, and they are well aligned with what they do. And people can get attached to something because of the results they've got. Like I'm very passionate about EFT because of the results I've got. So Reiki masters and people who do healing, they see this benefit, so they're attached to it. And what I'm saying is, anything we're attached to will disturb our discernment. So it's about losing attachment to anything and tuning into your true self. Your intuition comes through. Absolutely right. You're bang on. We shouldn't be attached to any idea really, and until we properly critically think about it. Does it feel right? Discern it. Look at what other people are saying about it. What are their experiences? Because ultimately that's the best thing that you can do. And go inside your own heart, your own self, clear any thinking, any attachment, and the truth comes through to your gut, to your heart, to your pineal gland. You know, it is there, isn't it? It's just, I think what happens is people are caught, they're stuck in their head. So they're stuck in their head or their emotions, because everyone wants to feel good, right? And the new age is great for making people feel good on the surface, but completely avoid the dark inner child work that they need to do, the healing work they need to do, those people in their life that are toxic that they need to let go of, the change of diet that they need to do, the sacrifices they need to make. The new age takes all that away, because you can just meditate and you can just float away on golden unicorns, whatever. Meditation is, I think, a fundamental part of it. You know, I don't knock it. It's going inside, and it's going to connect to your where you know think, and that's where you connect to source energy. So it's not that meditation isn't a piece of the puzzle.
No,
it's
not.
Of it.
No, that was probably the wrong example to use meditation. But you know, like taking a gong bath is not going to. It's not going to heal,
but it's not going to be the whole picture.
Yeah, it's not going to heal your childhood trauma that you went through when you were 5. Yeah. That's my point. The new age takes people away from that to an avoidance mindset, where they just throw themselves in all those lovely, fluffy, like fairy things, and then yet the problem's still there. So the real work's done
on,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, and it's great to see that you've got solutions for things like, you know, the particles and things, because, you know, as a person who one of my biggest challenges I've gone through with this awakening process is seeing the chemtrails and seeing the fibers come down, you know, and people think it's just dandelion fluff, and I pick it up and it's literally fibers that are spraying out that we're breathing in. And you know, and I can see it, and I'm breathing it in, my pets are breathing it in, and I'm thinking, I don't want to go into this feeling of helplessness and anger because it's not serving me, but I am pissed off about it because, you know, they've no right to do this to us.
No.
And so to have a solution for it empowers me
absolutely.
to believe that no matter what they're pointing in, I'm going to come up with a different solution to take that stuff out. Yeah,
there's a solution to every problem. I'm certain of that. And this is the biggest problem that humanity's ever faced, and we're all part of it, the solution. And you're either on the sidelines watching, or you get involved. And I don't know why you'd want to be on the sidelines right now. I mean, it's such an exciting time to play your part.
Yeah, and the sidelines is different varieties of it. There's some who are in emotional pain, but I have some friends who are in the little beautiful bubbles. They've got a nice family, they're great careers, lovely homes, and you know, I have a wonderful circle of friends who are in the bubbles. And sometimes I think, oh, I wish I hadn't taken this red pill because I can't ever get back in that bubble. I don't want to really. But you know, when you start to look at the darkness, you know you've got a big journey to go on as a collective of humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you wouldn't want to go back to watching Love Island, would you? Really? No. I saw that. I don't even know what it is, but everyone's raving about it, and it's just there's such a split now in people that are more consciously aware than people that are still sleeping. It's just
plugged in.
I mean, when I was out that night, when I mentioned earlier, with my friend, I said to him in there, I said, I feel like I'm not even here. I feel like these people are not even existing. It's just they were on such a different, and it wasn't like an egotistical, I'm like awake or anything like that. It was just like their energy and vibration and what they were into and what they were doing was just like completely, I just felt such a disconnect.
Yeah. And I do that a lot. But I also believe I've signed up to be a hand holder. Yeah. So, you know, it's about once we can get over the frustration of that they're not where I'm at. Yeah. And it's not that they're not capable of it. We're all capable of it. Yeah. But on some level, the fact I'm here before they are, that, you know, that's what I've signed up to do. And you know, the big job is, you know, one of the things I put in an EFT video out because I want people to have a coping mechanism to handle the cognitive dissonance of others, because the most difficult thing on the awakening journey is why isn't everybody seeing what I'm seeing? Yeah, why they're still watching EastEnders, why they're still, you know, being brainwashed by X Factor.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, it's so refreshing now though, as people are starting to become more aware. It's like, what you said, I can see it now. And it's almost a lot of us are starting to get that aha moment, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a funny story to share with this. It's like Sandra, my friend, David Icke wrote about her. So David Icke asked her to go over to Isle of Wight to go and meet her. And she said, do you want to come? And I said, yeah. And I was in my mum and dad's kitchen and I said to her, I'm going to meet David Icke. They both rolled their eyes. And my mum said, you're bloody being brainwashed by all this stuff, you. My mum was watching EastEnders and my dad was watching the History Channel. And the irony of it was like, I'm the one being brainwashed. Yeah. You know, and I just let it go. I just laughed. I smiled and I just thought at some point.
I've had all that. You're in a cult. I remember though, when I first woke up, I did go like proper like, you know, proper mad on it. I was like, there's going to be World War III. There's going to be World War III.
We all go through phases
my mum was like, what's wrong with him? So I think, you know, I think a lot of what's put out there is kind of fear-mongering stuff as well. Alex Jones kind of vibe.
And that's the divide and conquer game. It's just part of the system. It's just keeping us, you know, with the polarity. And my brother is like convinced we're going to get, you know, killed by Nibiru. You know, and it's like,
oh right.
And you know, you look into anything, whether it's the flat Earth theory, whether it's Nibiru. And you know, there are intelligent people going to the real great depths to convince others about this. Yeah, and this is the discernment again, isn't it? That's needed to unravel it all.
Yeah, the discernment. I'm writing a book at the moment, and I've done a whole chapter on discernment because it's just not enough of it going on. People are just thinking with their emotions, because I had one woman, right, get this, she said to me, I can't remember, it was when the election was going on, and I was like, just, you know, so anti-voting and posting and stuff, and she said to me, I've done your version of truth, Tony, and I don't like it. And I'm thinking, so you choose what is truth. So you make that decision what is truth. How does that work then? You can't choose truth. Truth is objective. It's not subjective. It doesn't change by what you want it to be. And that's what's going on in some people's minds. You know, they are so, I mean, it's fear at the end of the day. It's rooted in fear, but
Yeah.
it just made me laugh. I've done your version of truth. Like I make that version up just to like,
And
you know
what? I think we've all been on a transition. So it's like I've noted a change in you since you've started to vlog and where you're at now. And it's what's good for me is that lots of people who are on this journey have come at it from different angles, and we're all getting to a similar level of understanding about the frequency of love, how powerful we are, you know, and we need to get off our backsides and do something. And even the Love and Light Brigade, and I don't even like saying that because I don't want to be, you know, discrediting some of my friends, because, you know, some of them are lovely people with really wonderful souls. But it's even people who are just fixed on that, refuse to look at the darkness, they're starting to realise that people like you, people like me, actually there's got to be something in it. This is the why it's so disturbed on this planet. It's the why. And I love David Icke's stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he was integral to my own awakening as he was others, and I think the kind of thing that we're talking about here, I mean, that's why this chakra thing resonated with me, because I always thought to myself, well, how are they feeding on our energy then? I get that they're feeding on our energy, but how are they doing it? Is it just a vibration that's going out there, and they're just, but it made complete sense to me. So and yeah, I'm really, you know, the whole reptilian and draconian thing, it's completely real, and I've seen people appear on me and on Skype. There was a guy in America, and he contacted me and he said, look, I really need some help, and I checked in, and he had a lot of stuff on him, and literally his face, I could see the eyes rolling in the back of his head. He was slurring. I could see this thing in him, and within 10 minutes of taking the first lot of overlays off, his sister was there, and she said, Tony, his face has changed. This guy started to get colour back in his cheeks. His eyes stopped rolling in his head. He stopped slurring. And so these things are real, and people need to realise that this is real. And
I'm convinced it is. And you know, I've been privileged, like yourself, to meet some survivors of SRA, and these are the souls, I think, that are, you know, the non-human souls, because what they went through to survive and still be connected to source energy right now. And one of them, a wonderful lady called Fran, she channels in some information through kinesiology about the energetic attachments, about, you know, they've got a central flute, what's going on with the chakras, what the rituals use, so the metals they use, the processes they do, how they open up portals. So much of it is like, you know, my understanding has gone through the roof since meeting this lady. It's just amazing. Yeah,
it's so many levels. It's the physical manipulation, it's the spiritual manipulation on how we're being manipulated to work against natural law. It's the metaphysical level and the manipulation there. So it's just such a war zone, but at the same time, it just makes you realise, well, we must be pretty special if they need to do all this to us, and we are special. You know, every one of us is special, and sometimes I walk around, and you know, I walk around my local town here, and you see people, they're all hunched over, and they're all like, you can just see they're just. They've lost that connection to who they are. Their souls are there, and their souls have kind of gone, and they just, you can see that they just feel so worthless and just so stuck and lost. And just I know how false that is, because I know how hugely powerful we are, how much amazing potential we have, how fantastic we could make this reality to be in. And if we move into our hearts and then our our belly brains, and you know, that's what we really are. That's who we really are. We're not just these useless worker bees that we've been lied to about.
Yeah, you know, the things are coming out right now. So look at Pizzagate and you know, the disclosure that's going on right now. It's horrific, but at the same time, I'm excited about it because it's coming out, because people are talking about it, and people are. When it's like, you know, when you first started to open your perception of reality, one thing would have taken you down it. I think this rabbit hole is opening a lot more people up to, when you look at the spirit cooking and the esoteric aspects of it. And you know, and that makes it more real, and more people are thinking, well, hang on, these Podesta emails and the cover up at higher levels and things like that. The House of Cards is ready to it just needs a little bit more of a push.
Yeah, it does. And it was really interesting about a year ago, actually. You know, when you're like in between waking up and still asleep, do you ever get like little downloads come through?
Yeah, especially when I've been asleep.
Yeah, so I remember it vividly, and it was just before I woke up, and it was a voice, and it said, for every person that wakes up to the truth, another piece of the jigsaw puzzle will be revealed. And then I woke up. It was really mental.
I love that.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful message, and
and the momentum's picking up more. It's more and more and more, and there's just too many fires to stamp out. It's like, you know, it's just like there's no stopping this momentum right now. No stopping it. It's nearly game over for him. Nearly game over.
Yeah.
Big party, Ju.
Yeah, well, that would be lovely. A big truther party. How great would that be?
With everybody in it. You know, the whole of humanity. And all the animals being loved and treated as sentient beings.
Oh, yeah, amazing. Yeah, it would be great.
And that's what I want to put out there into the field. That's the new earth that we're heading for, and we're going to create it collectively when we heal ourselves. Yeah,
we will, but we have to recognise that there are weapons being used against us in these etheric grids and holographic programs and the nanotech, and so you know, although we're on the right way, we're on the road upwards, we still have to protect ourselves because we're in a war. So we still have to help each other and come up with solutions, and to do all of this still, we still have to do all of that, as well as raising the awareness as well.
Definitely. A chap I'm hoping to get on. I'm hoping to get him on next week. I couldn't quite get him on a couple of weeks ago. William Windsor King, and he's a guy from Liverpool in the UK, and he's been putting videos out about Morgellons, and he's been showing the lesions in his skin, and he's been talking about how the infectious disease hospitals have been trying to basically section him because the psychotherapist saying he's a nut job. And even though he's showing his wounds, he's shown the fibres under microscope, he's highly intelligent, and he's had to flee the UK, and he's heading towards Germany right now to try and get himself healed. Yeah. He's in a really bad way. And if I can get him to get in touch with you and you can help him.
We're taking Morgellons out of people. We're taking nano out of people. We're removing these things on people. So it's very powerful work that we're doing.
Yeah. And that's, you know, so exciting for me, and I'm definitely going to put you in touch with him after this show.
Yeah, sure.
And I think for people who might be thinking, oh, you're just imagining it, I really want him to come on, because not for fear either. It isn't anything about fear, you know. It is about understanding it's real, and we need to know our enemy before we can combat it. Know our enemy and then attack it without fear. Yeah. Stand up against it with our power.
Yeah, but I think David Icke said it before, that the enemy, it's very clever, but it's not very wise. It doesn't have very many strings to its bow. And once we've worked this out, and we're getting there with the AI, with this stuff, that once that's worked out, and you know, we're gonna, and there's people doing all kinds of, there's people working on this AI manipulation and interdimensional manipulation. There's human beings that are fighting these in realms via their psychic abilities or whatever, that will never see the light of day. We won't even hear about them. They're doing this work as well, quietly in the background, which is really important. So those unsung heroes that maybe don't get to talk on shows and stuff like that, they're doing stuff as well.
Yeah, and I know Max Space talked a lot about that, and a lot of what Max talked about I absolutely resonated with. You know, it just sung to me, the vibrational intuition that I got from what he was saying. And I was absolutely gutted when I'd heard he'd died, because I felt he had so much more to give humanity.
Yeah. He was heavily manipulated with AI in him, and that's where the black goo stuff comes from.
Yeah.
And they got to him big time because he had a powerful message. But once you know how to protect yourself, I've been attacked psychically by AI in my sleep before I knew about this crystal, and it's horrible. I don't know if you've ever been psychically attacked before in your sleep.
I have, yeah. It's awful.
Yeah,
awful.
I mean, imagine being pinned down and your hands, your mouth being pinned down, but
I had my tongue cut out in mine. I was going to a bridge blowing up. It was awful.
I mean, I woke up and I felt like I'd been in a marathon. I was physically absolutely shattered, and it feels like you've been raped, literally. But that's par for the course. But when you find out what this does, it protects you against that, and now the attacks they stop. So there are solutions for everything that's coming out now. The gut lining, where people are getting all this leaky gut. Well, we need to get on the probiotics. We need to do so we need to think on our feet constantly and constantly move.
A vegan diet is essential. And it's not that I'm trying to offload judgment onto people. It's about the frequency of what you're putting into your physical being.
Absolutely.
Live food.
Yeah, you eat death, you're going to feel like death. So, yeah.
Put all those toxins in. There's just so many things about it. It's unbelievable. The addictive products in it, the toxins, the frequency. Everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the tourmaline, protects us from that Wi-Fi and the what's it called, radiation, and the TV frequencies and the internet frequencies. All these little things we can do to protect ourselves. So
Organite as well is a good one that I put in.
Organite. Yeah, for sure.
And obsidian is another protective crystal that.
I haven't heard of that. I'll have to look into
obsidian! It stops the spirit entities. It's a protection crystal.
Okay, yeah. I bought Amazonian today. Amazonian, it's like a green one, because what Amazonian does, it's so this one stops the psychic attacks, but because when they went for me on the last one, they tried to clone me and tried to transgender me. But the Amazonian protects against that. So if they do happen to get into me on a dream, then I've got that Amazonian now. So so it's pretty deep.
There's a few things that Sandra Feck shared with me as well that she uses in her therapy, and one is cedar tea. If you drink cedar tea, bathing cedar leaves. Cedar, again, it stops parasitic energies, and it stops entity attachment. And there's juniper tar oil is another one that she's
I'll tell you what stops entity attachment: unplugging your chakras. That stops entity attachment permanently.
I'm definitely going to look into it, and I have a very open mind about this, and I know I've been tricked on every level, but we're also very powerful, and there's layers of truth in all of it.
Yeah, it is a big decision. I understand that. We've spent many years being told that the chakras are great, and they look very nice, and you've got the lovely flowers. So it is a big decision for people, and it is something that they really need to discern properly. But again, I would refer people to the Chakra and Overlay Removal group on Facebook, so you can see the testimonials of people that are having this work done.
Oh, that's brilliant. So is there any events you've got coming up? Are you doing any talks anywhere?
So I've got a couple of events coming up. I'm speaking on Saturday the 5th of August at the Balmoral Centre in Southend-on-Sea. That's from 2 till 5 p.m. And then I'm on the 9th of September, the Open Heart and Mind Conference. That's Lee Community Centre. That's in Southend-on-Sea. Again, that's 10 till 5. And I've got one in London coming up in October. But I'm here available to speak for a few months. I'm not sure where I'm going to be. I'm kind of going wherever the universe takes me to. There's a lot of people in Thailand at the moment that are involved in this work. So and I would refer people to my website, www.transcendingtimes.org,
Yeah, we've been having that flashing through the programme all the way
Oh,
through.
right,
Well.
okay, great. I didn't see that. And my email there is tony@transcendingtimes.org if anyone wants to contact me. And I've got a YouTube channel as well, where I upload the vlogs. But yeah, that's about it, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's been great speaking to you, Tony. I'm sure I'm going to get you back on again in a few months' time, because I think there's so many subject areas we can delve a little bit deeper into. But it was your video that you put on about shungite and selenite that I'd mentioned to you, that as I was meditating or listening to conscious stuff, I was getting tired. It's like my brain was shutting down and I didn't know why. It was like all of a sudden so I'm very interested in stopping this, and I'm going to definitely look at everything you've talked about.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's got to resonate. It's got, I'm not forcing people to believe it. I'm just going, but I mean, my own personal experience, other people, how they're feeling after the work, and people have to make their own mind up and discern and what feels true. But we have to realize that the levels of the manipulation, they've hoodwinked us on everything. So why would they not hoodwink us on the chakras and that kind of stuff? But
they knew these times were coming, didn't they?
Yeah, but like I say, that I really want to make it clear that the chakras is just such a small portion of the work that we're doing. So
yeah, and I'm definitely with you on the inner child stuff. Once you release the energy, that trapped energy, it's like almost like your energy feels squashed down. And what people look 20 years younger after they've done some of the inner child work. It's amazing. I love
Yeah, you just feel more your authentic self. You feel more confident. You feel more in your just more to your core of who you really are. And it was very interesting doing that for sure.
Yeah, no, it's been fabulous talking to you, Tony, and we definitely need to catch up on some other things off air as well. But
sure.
And I'll get you on again in a few months. And if there's anything you want to promote or anything you want to share again, just let me know and we'll get you back on.
Okay, great, Jo. Lovely to speak to you today.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If we want to change the world, we must first change the media. Mainstream media exists for the purposes of indoctrination and manipulation of public perception. The world of free and independent media is growing, and with the upsurge in information now available in the public domain, it has never been easier to access free and independent media. The exploration of this information resulted in an experimental project which would provide a fully supported space for researchers, whistleblowers, and seekers of all kinds to express themselves and educate the world. On the 1st of January 2015, Conscious Consumer Network was launched to the world. Nobody thought we would make it this far, but CCN is the longest running free and independent media network of its kind. CCN is a unique collaboration of hearts and souls, bringing you information from different perspectives to educate and inform. Since we started CCN, we have had only one desire: the pursuit of a free, fair, just, sustainable world, and this has not changed. Having overcome many challenges over the last 2 years, CCN is here to stay, and we've got great things lined up for 2017. Help keep CCN on the air by supporting the 2017 Network Support Fund.